Hey guys, Relaxed Recaps here. In today's video, we're going to do a recap of the 2018 horror thriller Unfriended Dark Web. Unfriended Dark Web shows the story of Matthias, who stole a laptop from a cafe. But he soon realizes that the owner of the laptop, Nora C4, is anything but normal. Though it may be too late because Nora is now targeting not just Matthias, but his friends too. Now just sit back, relax, and enjoy. The movie starts with a computer screen where one of our main characters, Matthias, is trying unsuccessfully to get into a laptop he had stolen from a cafe. His computer was too slow for the project he was working on, so he took the laptop that's been sitting on the lost and found section for 3 weeks. He finally manages to get in and immediately runs an application called Papaya. Papaya is an app Matthias is working on to surprise his girlfriend. His girlfriend, Amaya, can't speak or hear, so this app would help them communicate better. He excitedly calls Amaya, and she's initially happy to see him, but her mood immediately shifts when Matthias shows her the Papaya app. She's angry that Matthias would rather spend all his time creating an app rather than go to the sign language classes she had signed him up for. She angrily signs away and becomes even more irritated when Matthias tells her to type instead. Their fight gets interrupted by a doorbell, but when Amaya goes to open the door, Matthias's laptop starts acting up, disconnecting their call. When he tries calling her again, Amaya doesn't pick up. He then receives a message from his friend, Serena, telling him to join their game night on Skype. He logs into the Skype app, which was already filled with information of the previous owner, Nora C4. But before he can join his friends over Skype, he gets spammed with Facebook messages from 3 girls asking him for plane tickets. Matthias is joined by AJ, Serena, Damon, Nari, and Lex. As the game begins, Matthias lies and tells them that he had bought the laptop over Craigslist. AJ was complaining about everyone ditching game night at his place when Matthias's laptop froze again, ending his Skype call. He then gets a message from a girl named Erica Dune asking who this is. He's skeptical that the girl knows the owner of the laptop and decides to ignore her. He logs out of his Facebook and joins his friends again. He connects with Damon over messages and asks him to help him with his computer errors. Damon suggests he check his disk, and when he does, he finds that the hard disk was full, but there were no files on the laptop. Damon then asks him to run a program that detects hidden files, and Matthias finds over 900 gigabytes worth of media hidden away. He tries opening some of them, but they were just random videos of people dancing and playing music, so he doesn't pay it any attention. He keeps trying to reach Amaya, but when she doesn't respond, he joins his friends again. Serena and Nari make a big announcement of their engagement, and everyone goes crazy over the news. But the happy mood quickly shifts to a sad one when Serena reveals that her mom's cancer has progressed. AJ manages to change the topic and lighten the mood. Matthias is still distracted because Amaya wasn't responding to him. He pleads with her one last time, and finally, she calls him. Matthias can tell she's still upset with him, so he launches into his explanation. That only irritates Amaya further, who texts him to slow down so she could read his lips. He's apologizing to her for not attending the classes, but keeps getting distracted by the spam of messages from Erica Dune. Amaya thinks he's talking to someone else and disconnects the call. Seeing Amaya gone, Matthias angrily responds to Erica, but is shocked to learn that the person on the other side is none other than the owner of this laptop, Nora C4. Nora accuses him of stealing his laptop, but Matthias denies this accusation, saying that he had bought the laptop over Craigslist. Nora doesn't buy his story and asks him to link the Craigslist ad. Knowing that he can't lie anymore, Matthias admits to taking the laptop from the cafe. Matthias deletes all his files and is ready to return the laptop, but just when he's about to shut down the laptop, he receives a Facebook message from Caron68 asking him to do a custom job. Curious to know more, he responds back, but Caron68 asks him to chat on an app called The River. Matthias asks Damon if he's ever heard of this app, but Damon too had no idea what The River was, so Damon asks him to share his screen with everyone. Damon explains that it's probably an overlay network so no one can track you, and AJ too launches into an explanation about the dark web. Hearing AJ talk about the dark web, Nari wants Matthias to leave this alone, but suddenly another window pops up. It was a chat room with 608 users that were all called Caron. With a quick Google search, they find out that Caron is a mythical creature that leads people to the afterlife. They ask him again where he bought this computer from, and he has no choice but to tell them the truth. Damon notes that Nora C is a fake name, and when reversed it spells Caron. They were scrolling through the videos when AJ asks him to open the file named account. When Matthias opens it, it takes him to a website where he finds that Caron 4 has over $10 million in cryptocurrency. Nari is warning Matthias to stay away from the money when he receives a message from Caron68 asking if he had received the payment. He pretends to be Caron4 and responds to him. Soon, the conversation turns dark when Caron68 starts explaining that he wants Caron4 to trifine the victim. When they realize that the person was asking Caron4 to drill a hole into the victim's head, they immediately know that Caron4 was a contract killer. They shout at Matthias to leave the site and watch as he gets a string of angry messages from Nora, who was already waiting for him at the cafe. Now, the group is conflicted about what to do, so AJ suggests that they search through the contribution folder because the first thing Caron68 told Caron4 was that he liked the last contribution. Matthias opens the folder and finds several disturbing videos of girls. One girl was chained in a factory, the other was lying in a tomb, while Caron4 poured acid on her. The third girl was trapped in a water tank, and the fourth girl was sleeping in her bedroom. At the end of the last video, Caron4 looks at the camera and smiles. Nari concludes that Caron4 traps these girls and then shows them off. Anyone who bids money on them gets to decide what happens to them. They figured that the last girl is still safe because Caron4 doesn't know that Caron68 had called a bid for her. They argue about whether to call the police when Matthias gets a call from Amaya. He disables the screen share and answers the call, but Amaya is nowhere to be seen. He sees Amaya's roommate Kelly and finds out that she was taking a shower. Suddenly, the screen goes blank, and when it comes back on, Matthias sees Kelly getting attacked by someone. It was Caron4. He warns Matthias to act normal in front of Amaya and hides inside a closet with Kelly's body. Amaya comes out and goes to check around the house and is about to open the closet that Caron4 is hidden in, but Matthias somehow manages to get her attention. She leaves to change and Caron4 comes out again. He tells Matthias that he's hearing and seeing everything he does and warns him that if he or his friends disconnect the call, Amaya dies. He then asks Matthias to call Amaya over so he can follow her and get his laptop back. Matthias has no choice but to agree. He joins his friends again and sees that they've decided to go to the police station with the laptop. He desperately tries to come up with an excuse and lies that this was all part of the game he had been working on. Everyone is stunned and they don't seem to believe him at first, but he somehow manages to convince everyone that he didn't tell them because he wanted their genuine reaction. Everyone seemed to believe him except for Nari, who was still suspicious. She asks him about the girl in the last video, but before he can answer, Lex gets a call from her mother. On the other hand, Matthias searches the internet and finds that the last video was of Erica Dunes, who was kidnapped from her home. To assure Amaya and Erica's safety, he decides to empty Caron4's cryptocurrency account. He calls for him and tells him that he would get his money back if both Amaya and Erica are safe. He empties the account and seconds later receives a video call from Caron4 cursing at him for complicating things. He tells Matthias that by emptying his account, he had just alerted everyone in his circle, and if they found out that he had lost the laptop, they would kill him, and then come for Matthias and his friends. Suddenly, Matthias gets pulled into the river again, where the other Caron tells him to prove his identity. He manages to convince them that he's the real Caron4, making an excuse that he was shifting to another crypto platform. He exits his call with Caron4 and calls Amaya, telling her to keep her video call on through the train ride. He gets back on the Skype call, where Nari confronts him about Erica Dune being a real person who was kidnapped. She was interrogating him when suddenly another person joins their call, and before they know it, many other Caron join their call and a video starts playing. They watch someone track Lex's address and see Lex standing at the top of her building when someone comes behind her and pushes her off. The video ends and all the Caron leave the chat. Everyone is freaking out, and Matthias again tries to pass off the situation as a game, but Nari has had enough. When Matthias sees that Nari is about to call the police, he tells them the truth. He tells them how Caron4 was watching everything they do and how he has threatened to kill Amaya. Turns out Matthias had deliberately told Amaya to take the subway because subways always have very poor network conditions, so anytime Amaya's video call freezes, they can talk without alerting Caron4. He begs them to keep pretending till Amaya is safe, and they reluctantly agree. Amaya's video call starts again, and they pretend to play a game. Caron4 gets suspicious and asks about Lex. Matthias manages to convince them that Lex had left with her boyfriend and won't pick up the phone. It seems like Caron4 is unaware that the other Carons in his group had started hunting Matthias and his friends. The connection goes off again, and Damon immediately asks for administrative access to the laptop so he can trace the locations and back up the files for evidence. Everyone warns AJ to leave his house with his mother because he's the most vulnerable out of all of them. Damon is in England, so they can't get to him. And Nari has friends in the police, so she and Serena were also safe. That just left AJ. The game starts again, and Serena tells them that Nari is skipping the round because she isn't feeling well. Suddenly, Corone1 joins the group and plays a video that shows various cutouts from AJ's YouTube channel. He then calls 911 and plays the video, making it sound like AJ was threatening to plant a bomb in the mall. They realize that the call was made 10 minutes ago and ask AJ to leave immediately, but it was already too late. Police were breaking inside his house. AJ slowly tries to make his way to his mom, but Corone1 plays a gun clicking sound on the computer, making the police shoot AJ. On the other hand, Corone4 has finally caught on to what's happening. Serena assures Matias that Nari had gone to the station to pick up Amaya, but before he can relax, another video starts playing. The video shows Serena and Nari talking about Nari's parents not being supportive. Serena tells Nari that she doesn't have to choose between her family and her. The screen then shows Nari at a subway station and Serena's mom at a hospital. Corone1 asks Serena to choose who she would like to save. The countdown begins, but she refuses to choose anyone, and in the end, both of them die. She watches as her mom's heart rate monitor flatlines, and someone in the subway tries to push Nari in front of an oncoming train. But Nari refuses to go down alone, taking the Corone with her. Serena has hardly had time to recover before she too is attacked by a Corone. Now it's just Matias and Damon. When Amaya's connection is restored, Matias tells her to meet him at the place they first kissed. Matias leaves immediately to go to her. Now that Damon is left alone, he talks to the Corones on the laptop and warns them that he has made a copy of everything and that they would be exposed soon. That's when a picture of Corone4 showing his face to the camera pops up. He watches as someone photoshops Matias's face onto Corone4's. He then sees someone entering Matias's room and placing someone on his bed. That girl is none other than Erica Dune, who has a hole in her head. That's when he realizes that they've been set up. He calls Matias and tells him that everything that happened till now was their plan. The laptop was left there deliberately. They had access to it as soon as he entered his Wi-Fi password. The Corones wanted them to withdraw the money and copy all the videos so that they could frame them for the crime. Matias then receives a call from Amaya, who was at a different location. Someone had pretended to be Matias and asked her to meet at the factory from the first video. The Corones cut Matias's video off, and through the Papaya app, they tell Amaya to go inside the factory. Matias desperately tries to reach Amaya, but her video cuts off. Matias stops his bike when he realizes that Damon is missing. He watches as another Corone hangs Damon and writes a suicide note admitting that he and his friends had committed all the crimes and to find all the evidence on his hard drive. After seeing everyone die, Matias can't help but ask Corone why they're doing this to him. In an answer, he gets a video of himself saying it's game night, so because it was game night for the Corones, they had decided to play with Matias and his friends. Suddenly a poll starts on the screen, asking all the Corone to vote whether Matias should live or die. 80% of the members voted for his death, so he immediately gets run over by a car. Matias is dead, and the game is over. So one by one, all the Corones reveal their faces. The last scene shows a Corone sitting in his room monitoring everyone. The screen of his computer read, Game Night 14. That was it for today, guys. We hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to Relaxed Recaps for more content like this. Feel free to hit the like button to help us out and leave a comment on which movie you'd like us to recap next. Until next time.